Okay, so what we'll do tonight in that case is if we put our pages into the book, then I'll go through the book in a lot of detail for you whilst that's kind of drying, and then we'll come and do the inside, front and back covers. Okay, so I'm just going to put this to one side. Now, I've got to admit, I haven't done my homework. Hi, Ruth. I haven't done my homework at all. In my defence, I've been making the October sub-box kit up. So, you know, that's my excuse. But I haven't done my homework, and I am really sorry. I think those are my pages. I think there's probably more pages than that. How many pages has this book got? Does anybody want to tell me? 4. Right. My book is covered in cat hair because look at that. Look at the state. Look at this. Look. You see the state of my book?
It's furry.
It's furry. Mine's covered in cat hair. We'll have to try and get rid of that. Right. Tip. Reckon there wasn't really any homework apart from matting your pages in your book, but I haven't done them, so I can't say a word. I'm going to have to mat mine after I've put them in the book, but you know, never mind. Right, okay, so I managed to fold this without cracking anything, which is quite impressive really, because I did crack on the first one I did, but I haven't cracked on the second. So I'm really pleased with the way that turned out. I'm not so pleased with the... Oh, actually, it's not... Oh, sorry. It's not quite... I thought that was really wonky, but it's not quite as bad as I thought. Okay, so... Right, we're going to start off by putting our pages in. So, the first thing I want you to do is grab a pair of scissors, because what we're going to do is mitre these hinges. So we're just going to take off that top sort of triangle. It doesn't have to be any, don't ask me what angle, because, you know, I don't know, whatever, 45 degrees, something like that.
30, I'll do it.
You do it 30. Yeah, I want you all to get a protractor and do it exactly 30. So, you know. But as you can see, what I've done is I've just taken the edge off the top of the hinge there, and that's just so our pages slide on a bit easier. And I'm going to do that at the bottom as well. Just snip that off. So now I've mitered the edges, and as you can see, they're not all the same angle, but it doesn't matter because you're never going to see it. Right, okay, so now what I want to do is put my pages in, and I've always found that it's easier to start with the back and then work my way forward. I know Sue had a try of doing this from the front to back because we wondered if it was something to do with being left-handed or something along those lines, but it wasn't. It was just, it really just was easier for no reason whatsoever. So, right, we've got to work out what order these pages go in. So, let me have a think. What's my back page? So that's the front. Then that, yeah, okay. So my back page is the one that opens like this. No, that's the pocket. My back page is the one that opens like that, and I'll show you on the proper book in a minute. Hi, Bronwyn. And then that's the next page. That's the one with the pocket. So if you've matted yours like mine, your back page is this one. Because I haven't matted mine yet, you can't tell. Okay, so that's the back page, and then the next one is this pocket one. Okay, so mine unmatted. I can tell this is the pocket, that's nice and easy. And I'm going to have this flat bit on the left, and then the back is that bit that I need to mat. Okay, so how do I put my pages in? If you haven't done this before, I'm going to get my wet glue, which isn't going to come out. I was using this not long ago. Where's my pokey tool? Here.
Larissa asks, when you did your first book, did you decorate the pages first, or is it okay to do it now?
Personally, I decorate the pages first. base decorate the pages first. So I would put on the, you know, what covers the page. I wouldn't do any of this fancy decorating bit that goes in here. That's definitely a last thing job. You can do it the way that I'm doing it round. It just makes it a little bit more difficult to line things up, I think. But it doesn't really matter which way you do it round, but you don't want to be doing the fancy decorating until afterwards, okay? So I'm going to put some glue on that fin of the...
It's a nice glue stuff you got there, isn't it?
Which, where?
On the video, that pokey thing.
My pokey tool. Yeah, it's a bit bunged up, but it's very useful for poking and for unblocking my glue. So I'm going to put glue on both sides of the hinge, and I'm now going to slip, making sure that I slip it in the right way. I'm going to slip in my page like that. Lay it down, make sure that it's straight. Let's see. Is that straight? Yeah, more or less. And I'm just going to press. Oh, I've got a lump in it. What on earth is that? And I'm going to press that down now. Okay, so this is my pocket. So on the back hinge, I've got my pocket facing upwards, and then on this side, I knew that wasn't straight when I put it in the hinge, but it's the thing will still lie straight. Okay, so that's my first page in. Ugh, covered in glue now. Right, so the next page that I'm putting in is obviously going to be the opposite of this one. So that's the other pocket, which has got this one on the back that opens side to side. Okay, so our opposite pages match. So I've got a pocket here and I've got a pocket here. So I'm going to put some glue on that fin there. And then on the other side. And I'm going to slip that page in there. And lie that down on top of that one and make sure that they line up. This is really important. Okay. Oh.
No pressure.
So that lines up nicely with that one. Let's just make sure that it sits well on the other side as well. Okay. Happy with that? Yep, that seems to line up. There isn't even that much cat fur on it. Okay, the next page is the opposite to this one. So this is where we've got our flaps opening that way. That one's going to be the exact opposite of it. And then on the other side, we've got these two end ones that open up. So glue on both sides of the hinge. I'm going to slip that on. Make sure it lines up with those pages previous to it. Make sure it glues down well. Pressure on there. Open it up, make sure there's pressure on the other side as well. So you can see here, my opposite pages, they match. Okay, so that is this page, oops, is this page here. Okay, that one. So, last page to go in now. Glue on either side of the hinge. Making sure that I'm putting this the right way round so that these two pages match. Let's pop that down, line it up. And glue it down. Okay, so that's the pages in my book now. I haven't glued that down very well. never mind. Okay, so that's the pages in. So just to give them a bit of drying time, I'm going to put that to one side now. And what I want to do is something that Karen asked me earlier. I'm going to take you through the book. I completely forgot, if Terry's here, to take pictures of the inside of it. I was so busy thinking about which bits you had to fussy cut that I completely forgot to take the photos. So if we go through now, and I'll pick up a few bits that might help with your fussy cutting or the way that you mat or whatever. So here's the book. As you can see, they're the same. On the outside here, what we've got is some of our fussy cut bits. So I don't know how well you can see this, but I haven't cut out each flower individually because quite frankly that's a thankless task and there's only so much your fingers can take. So some of these bits are like, there's 3 bits there. That's quite a large bit of forget-me-nots, but I have got some single ones as well. So there's a big mixture. It's the, hi David, complicated. You mean they look complicated rather than actually, I hope you mean they look complicated rather than they really are. I hope so. Right, okay, so these bits, they're all different sizes. So I think when you're fussy cutting, the trick is to think about the paper that you've got in front of you and cutting bits that are all different, okay? Because, you know, you can fit things in different spaces and you can always cut big and then cut smaller later. It just depends on what you fancy. So we've got our Tim Holtz ring fastener here, which we will attach later. And then we've got our lovely charm made by the wonderful Melanie, and I've added
the hole where the dangly holder thing goes.
I'll show you, Dee. Well, once
coming up.
Yeah, coming up. Once me thingies have dried, once my pages have dried, we will do that tonight. Except I don't think I've got one on me. I'll find one. But yeah, we'll do that tonight. And bits of ribbon. So on the front, what I really want to draw your attention to is the fact that this fairy, this big fairy, isn't quite the same as the fairy that you've cut out. So hang on a tick, if I just grab my paper. I haven't even opened my packet. How appalling is that? Right. Oh, David, I know entirely what you mean about the fussy cutting. Do it in front of the TV, apparently, is the trick. And that's what people keep telling me. But having said that, I'm usually more interested in what's going on the TV than fussy cutting. So I either don't cut enough or I'm doing too much fussy cutting and not taking any notice of what's going on. So I don't know. Somebody took theirs to work this week. Who was it? You? No, it wasn't. Well, no, hardly. Well, yeah. But no, somebody took theirs to work this week and did it in the lunch hour, which made me laugh. Right, okay, so as you can see, this fairy on the front here, on the signature piece, you may notice is not quite the same as the fairy that we've got on the front because she didn't fit, basically. So I chopped her wings off and I've just put them underneath a little bit. But when it comes to the fussy cutting, if you cut out the whole of this fairy at this point, on both of your signature sheets, you're also going to need to cut out the fairy here on the actual, I don't know what you call it, the packaging anyway, because this fairy here is actually in 3 layers. So I'm hoping that you can see that. I'm lagging behind a bit on the video, so I'm not quite sure what that you can see, but there's like three bits of fairy there. So what I've done is when I've layered her up, I've used bits of her, chopped bits like her head and her arms here, still really useful even though it's packaging, and then we can layer her up. So with the other flowers and everything else on the front, what I've done is, like I said, I've just chosen bits and I've just fussy cut round. You can always cut down, so if you're going to, you know, fussy cut big chunks of stuff, that's good. But then again, where I've wanted to like fill in a bit of a gap, I've just put one forget-me-not there. And then of course I've got the paper flowers and these plastic leaves as well that I've added on top. So some of these are layered, so they're not like flat to the book. And I've done that because I always tell you, keep your chipboard You can use foam pads, but I find they bung up my scissors something chronic. So use bits of chipboard left over from, you know, from when you've done your covers, and that'll help pop things up and make them look interesting. Now our little fairies, a lot of those, what I've done is I found these, well actually I can't even take credit for this, this was Mel. Mel found these amazing organza wings that she was using to make jewellery with, and I thought, whoa, know what I can use those for. So some of the little fairies, not all of them, but some of them, I've chopped their wings off and I've just added these organza fairies here, just because it adds a bit more interest, that's all. So, to go through some other bits of the book, there isn't huge amounts of paper in that we can't just use as much paper as we like, unless we're using 2 packets, which wasn't really the plan with this book. So I've had to be quite conscious about how I've done things like the inserts. So here you'll see that where I've done my photo mats, I've actually kept them white, but I've done things like use offcuts of the pattern papers and some of the stickers out of the collection pack to you know, to kind of decorate the edge of my photo mats. And then I've used things like the cutouts on there. On this bit here, there's another sticker. You know, some bits that I've just got left over that I've just added. I've added, you know, just little odds and ends, because there are more flowers that you will fussy cut than you probably need. Larissa, however you decide to, you know, you do not have to follow the way that I make it at all. You can do whatever you like with the book. It's entirely up to you. I'm just going through and just showing you know, how I did mine. But this is the nice thing, is that you absolutely don't have to follow what I've done. The way you make it yours is by doing it differently. So I'm totally for that. So I've used odds and ends of the flowers again here, just pop them up on some of the chipboard. Now this bit, I'll open it up so that you can see, this was one of the little cutter parts that I've just matted onto white card as my closure. And I've used this lovely sort of ombre blue and purple for those bits. And then I've matted the whole of the back in that sort of ombre paper, because it's just lovely. I've used one of the cutter parts here as the inside. I know you can use a cutter part there as well, but I just happened to use some of the, I actually decided to give, I gave up fussy cutting in the end. So I used some of that, but a lot of these bits, these extra bits, I kind of waited until the end to do, to see what I'd got left. So don't worry if you're matting bits, don't worry about building up like from strips. And I'm going to show you something. You may remember a few weeks ago I showed you a version of the perpetual organizer that lovely Kerry Gibson decorated for me, because she'd had this idea of using the perpetual organizer as a wedding planner. Now the papers that she's used, what she's done on the front is so clever, and you can't really, I didn't realise until I looked closely at it, is that she's actually used strips of the design paper to make this absolutely beautiful background on the front of the book. So don't be afraid to use your scraps in a way that makes your book totally unique, something of yours, using those strips. I mean, it's such a clever idea, and she's done the same on the back as well. And I just thought that was so clever, and that's just another way, if you're short of paper, it's a good way that you can, you know, use your scraps, because we've always got funny little strips that we can just, you know, use. So the idea behind this book was to use the centerpieces as an excuse to decorate, shall we say. So these bits are kind of simple, but these bits towards the spine of the book, on each page I've done the same thing, and I have used some of my fussy cut flowers and a fairy, and some of the you know, these plastic leaves, just to build up some interest. So I've got a butterfly here, I've got some of these purple flowers, I've tucked some of these little you know, green plastic leaves underneath, and I've got my fairy. This one hasn't got organza rings, but if I turn over, you'll see this page which I've decorated because I know Karen wanted to see inside. They match. So both pages match, but once again here you can see that because I didn't have enough paper really to fill that whole sheet, I've matched it with a strip. Now it looks like I've deliberately done that. Well, I mean, I did deliberately do that, but it looks like that was the way that I always meant it to be, but that's not necessarily the case. It was more about using up the papers that I got in the most effective way. So I've got my big cut apart on the front, but I've put a small cut apart on the back. You know, because it saves on the design paper, and to be honest with you, those cut aparts are so pretty that it seems such a shame not to use them. So that's how I've decorated that bit up. On the front here you'll see these bits at the top here, these are the stickers that came on the sticker sheet in the collection pack. So I didn't have to use a whole sort of, you know, whatever it is, 6 inches, something like that, 6-inch drop of paper there. I actually, you know, used my stickers in a way that meant that the whole page was covered without me having to use just my design paper. Hi Diane. Yeah, David, I do too. That's exactly what I think. I don't know about you, but I tend to leave my photo mats until last. For that very reason. And actually you can make the prettiest photo mats by using your scraps, and I think sometimes that's where we can be the most creative. Totally agree with you. Hi Louise. Oh, I've been talking about Devon today. Did you know that if you have an afternoon tea, a cream tea in Devon, they put their cream and jam the wrong way round? I can say that because Mel's not here, because Mel's from Devon. But they do it the wrong way around. They put the cream first and then the jam on top. Not right. Anyway, I digress. Right, so you can see in the middle here, once again, what I tried to do was to kind of focus the interest on the spine of the book. So here, this is all one big fussy cut piece. But I've just looked at what I've got, and what I did was I had all of my fussy cut pieces and I kind of divided them up. So I knew that I'd got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spines that I had to fill, so I could kind of, before I actually started to do this decorating, I could divide up per page what I had out of what I'd cut, if that makes sense, to make sure that I had plenty for each page. So what I've done here once again is I've used my forget-me-nots. You've got some single ones just to fill in little spaces, just to add a bit of interest. You've got ones that are bigger, clumpier. You've got these butterflies, you've got the plastic leaves, and you've got the fairy with the organza wings as well. So it was very much about dividing up and then deciding what I wanted to use where. Okay, so this page, they're both decorated in the same way, but once again you can see the way that I've put it together was about not wasting my design paper. So that's why you've got a strip down there and a strip down there, but it looks like it was meant to do that. So, you know, it's quite an easy way to, you know, to fill up and make things look interesting, but actually it's practical more than anything else. So in the middle of this one, we've got our larger fairy that I've cut out. She's up from the page because I've put her on some chipboard. And then once again, we've got some fussy cut bits. This is all one bit, so you don't have to, like I said, cut out everything individually. It's not really, you know, as difficult as that. Now this is our middle page. Dee, you asked me about how to put the charm ring in. So what I did was I measured side to side exactly. I can't remember how wide this is. Where's my ruler? Tidied it up. 1.5 inches. So 3/4 of an inch. Yeah, halfway.
What?
If it's not even listening. If it's 1.5 inches wide, it's 3/4 of an inch half. Thank you, dear. Right, so you measure. I measured about 1/2 inch down, 3/4 of an inch in, and I used my famous pokey tool to make a hole right through, and it should come out exactly in the middle of your middle sort of bit. Or you could do it that way, couldn't you? That would probably be easier. Find the middle of your book and put your pokey tool in from that side, then just thread your ring through. These Tim Holtz ring fasteners, they're like brads, so they're on those double. Yeah, David, I do. It's in bits at the moment. I'll tell you what I'll do afterwards, if it's all right. Can I message you and I'll tell you how to find everything you need? Because we keep things in strange places in this group. Yeah, we do have a cutting guide. Eventually we'll have a proper written tutorial as well. But I'll show you how to get to everything, and not just for this class, but for all the others as well. Did you not know you had stickers, Wendy? Anyway, so yeah, what I've done is that the brad legs are actually underneath this. So what I've done is I've covered, you know, that little tiny piece of the gusset there with design paper, and you can't really see the attachment for the brad because it's hidden underneath that bit. Okay. So right, this page is done in exactly the same way. I haven't made any inserts to go in here, which I probably should have done, some photo mats, but obviously you're going to want to make some to go into your pockets. And once again, it's exactly the same process. I've chosen bits of the flowers, and I've just stuck them wherever, added you know, some of these cutter parts because they're just lovely, and added interest by putting some of the fairies a bit off the page with the chipboard and the organza wings, etc. And then exactly the same on the back here. Now, in between each page that we've got here, we've also got room for a large photo mat. And as you can see, when I pull it out, I haven't matted the whole thing because didn't have enough design paper to do that. So I've just matted the edges, and you know what, I actually like that as a look anyway, so I think that works really well. Okay, so on each page, I'm gonna have trouble getting this back in now, each page has got one of these right in the end, and we can cut those out later after we've put the pockets at the front. And I can't get this in. Story of my life.
Leave it to me.
I'll leave it to you, dear. Yes, I'm sure you can. Thank you, dear. So what we'll do now we've had a look at the book, so the back cover's exactly the same as the front. We'll put in our pockets. So dead easy to do. Now, what I did with this book, which I haven't tended to do with others before, is that I matted this piece here with plain cardstock. So what you're going to have to do is cut 2 pieces of plain cardstock in about 9 3/4 by 6.5 inches. So grab your trimmers. And we're going to cut the backing piece, which I've already forgotten what it was. 6.5 by 9 3/4. Is that right? Yeah. 9, not 6.5. I can't even remember. Let me just check. No. 9 3/4 is too much. Maybe it was 9 1/4.
Look your mind up there.
I better measure it and then I'll know. I could do, couldn't I? Yeah, 9 1/4. Right, 9 1/4 by 6.5. Okay, so that is going to fit on there like that. And we're going to glue one in the front and one in the back, so you're going to need 2. So 9 1/4 by 6.5. Okay. Right. And then we're just going to grab some glue. Ooh, that's good to know, Louise. I shall look forward to seeing David. You're on a mission now. I want to see your books. Bet you get asked that a lot. Okay, and I'm just going to place that so that it lines up with my hinges, my hinge piece, because that'll just look tidier. And I'm going to just add that in just to cover up that bit of my book. And now I'm going to do exactly the same at the back. Ah, David, I know who you are now. Oh, thanks for that, Louise. I know. Ah, I've seen your work. Oh, cool. What are you doing in here? I can't teach you anything. Mind you, I think Mark's probably extremely grateful because there's not many chaps about. He probably feels somewhat outnumbered. Right. Okay. So that's the actual base of my front and back piece, because to me, when I made this book, because we hadn't used this sort of canvas before, it just looked a lot tidier to me to actually have that plain base to work off when I came to mat the pocket. Okay, don't be worried, it's all good. I wish I could get this darn thing back in. I should never have pulled it out. It's staying out now. Right, okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make a long pocket. So I've lost my ruler. So to make the long pocket, we are going to cut two exactly the same, and we are going to cut them at 10 1/4 by 3 1/4 inches. Right, so grab your trimmers. I've already forgotten. 9 1/4, 10 1/4 by
3 1/4.
So 10 1/4 by 3 1/4. And you're going to need two of those, one for the inside front and one for the inside back. Okay, so now we've made hundreds of these pockets before. It's not going to at all surprise you to learn that you need to grab your scoreboard. And we're going to start off by scoring on the 3 1/4 inch side, which means that we need our 3 1/4 inch measurement at the top here. So with 3 1/4 at the top, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay, turn it round 90 degrees, and we're now going to score on the 10 1/4 inch side, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch, and we're going to score at 9 3/4 inch. So what we've got are 3 score lines intersecting those two corners, and that's going to form our pocket. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at the other one, and we're going to do it in exactly the same way. So 3 1/4 inches across the top of our scoreboard there, score at 1/2 inch, turn it round 90 degrees. So we're now scoring on the 10 1/4 inch side, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch, and we're going to score at 9 3/4 inch. Okay, and that's all the scoring we're doing tonight. You'll be delighted to hear. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mitre the corners of my pockets. Now, if you've heard me do this before, I apologise, but I'll explain my thinking. To mitre the corners, I'm going to just take my glasses off. I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to snip up to where those two score lines intersect. But instead of going straight across, I'm going to just turn my scissors a little and then cut down that way so that I'm not getting a straight across line. And the reason for that is when you fold, sometimes if you've got a straight across line, I find that you've still got a bit of a lump there because of the way that the mitre meets. So I tend to just move my scissors round just so I don't get those horrible lumpy bits, because nobody wants lumpy bits, do we?
No.
So snip up to that corner there where the score lines intersect, move your scissors around a little bit and just chop off and mitre that corner.
Kinky corners.
Yeah, kinky corners as Mel calls them. but we won't go there. Right, so now basic pocket. Fold over your flaps.
Catherine says hi from Brisbane.
From Brisbane?
Yes.
Wow.
Australia.
Hi Catherine, you are most welcome here. What time is it with you? This is cool. I love these classes. We've got people from all over. We've got Larissa in Canada and we've got Catherine in Australia. We've got Mark in Hensford. Right, you'll be delighted to hear that I have ordered myself a new mat. Tomorrow, a brand new, huge mat is coming for me to do my work on. And I have promised Mark that I am not going to cut on this one. Oh, you're up early, Catherine. Goodness me. Wow, I'm honoured. Oh, I really need a new mat.
You've got one coming.
I have got one coming. And do you know what? I've chosen a grey one. And Ruth's from Wales. Excellent. Oh, Catherine, no. Oh, that's horrible. You have my every sympathy. Well, I say that. I've never had a migraine, but I do get headaches. And headaches are horrible. And I know migraines are just the pits. Well, I'm glad that you've joined us despite that. Right. Okay. Yeah, so I've promised Mark that I'm not going to cut directly onto this new mat, but it's grey, which means that when I'm working in black, you can see it, and when I'm working in white, you can see it. I've thought this through. I know. Right, okay, so there are our super simple pockets, just a really basic pocket. And what we're going to do now is attach it to our covers. So it's going to fit just at the bottom there, like that, in between, exactly the same width as the bits that we've just added in. So a little bit of glue on your flaps.
Oh, yes.
We're going to line that up to the very bottom of our piece that we've added in. And just get that stuck down. Where do I get my mat from? I don't know if I dare tell you. I'm a little bit ashamed really, Karen, but I got it off Amazon. It's an A11, so it's really big. Hi, Christy. You will see my new mat, I promise. In fact, I'll be doing a few videos this weekend for other things, but you're likely to see the outcome of at least one of them. So I will show you my new mat when it arrives. I'm very excited by it because I've wrecked this one. I filmed the new Winter Tales book the other day, just like an overview. And I filmed it here, and all I can see when I play it back is how awful this backing is. So I decided the time had come to buy a new one. So that's what I've done. Right, say exactly the same on the back. So let's just pop that in. Don't look too closely at this bottom corner because I cut it too close and I'm not too happy with it. Yes, Karen, it is, but I'm going to use my crappy mat, this one, to cut on. And I'm not going to cut on my posh new one, so it will last forever. And it was a good price. I can't remember how much it was. How much was it? It was only about 20 quid, which for an A1 I thought was pretty good because that's huge. Good, yeah, I'll post you the link later. But I thought that was quite a good buy, and I wanted it quickly. Yeah, I've just answered that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as I said. That,
is it self-healing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know actually. I presume so.
It'd be nice if it was self-healing.
Unlike my fingers.
Is it self-healing?
I don't know. Right, so there we go. So we've got our pockets in. So those now fit and we can decorate that up. Okay, so homework: decorate your inside and outside, no, inside and outside back covers, inside and outside back covers. Decorate these bits if you haven't, like me, because you've been naughty. And then next week what we will do is we will have a look at starting to decorate, but I'm going to do the front of the book last because we don't want to squish it. So we're going to start off in the middle and work our way in. So if you want to put your ring fastener in, feel free. Don't forget to mat these middle bits here. But before I go, I'm just going to give you, and I will write these down, but I just want to give you some dimensions for the mats, these mats that go in between each of our pages. You're going to need 4 of these. I've lost, how do you lose? I've just had my ruler. Where's it got? Oh. Right. So you're going to need to cut 4 of these, and I will write this down for you guys and I'll put it in the group this evening. You're going to need 4 at 8.5 by 6.25 inches, and this is the insert that goes in between each page here, and I've lost mine already, that goes in between each page. And like I said, all of them are just decorated with a little bit of the pattern paper, so when you pull it out it shows and it looks pretty, but we're not wasting loads. Okay, I don't know why I can't put that one back in. Oh, there we go. Got it. Okay, so you're going to need 4 of those, and those just go, like I said, in between each of these pages. Just a little bit of more room for us to put photos on if we want to. With regard to the photo mats that I've done for the front and back covers, if you want some dimensions of those, but you can pretty much do this whatever you like. I've gone 7.75 by 5.75 and 4.5 by 5.75. I presume that was just because that's what fitted in there. Right. So don't forget to make those as well, but I'd be inclined to decorate those last. You can cut them, but decorate them last would be my thought with whatever you've got left over. So, Karen, my first question is, have you seen enough of the book? Did that help? And before we go, has anybody else got any questions? Oh, Tracy, that sounds amazing. I like the chocolate. Is it chocolate wine? Or chocolate, wine and gin? Or is it chocolate wine and gin? Both sound equally good. Okay, are we cool with that? Are we happy? Is that up to where we need it to be? Brilliant. David, I will message you in just a moment. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm sure Mark's really appreciated having another bloke here. And I will see you perhaps tomorrow, you guys, if you are... No, Christy, I don't. Sorry, Christy's just asked if I ever put the charm hanger in before the hinges. And I've often thought that that sounds like a very, very, very sensible way to do it, but I don't, because getting the hinges flat and adhered so close to the spine of the book is just... It's too... For me, it's too important, if that makes sense. It doesn't leave your hinges flat enough, and I think getting that adhesion between the hinges and the spine is so, so important. So whilst it makes absolute perfect sense, I don't do that, but it might work for you. It's just it doesn't work for me personally. But you know, try it. You never know. Prove me wrong. I'm always happy to be proven wrong. Sorry, hang on, Terry, the frame, you can get something similar. Tim Holtz does something similar. Ornate frames, I think they're called. These aren't Tim Holtz ones, but they are very, very similar. But you know, say Tim Holtz ornate frames will do for you. somebody else asked me a question.
Karen asked, she'd like to see pages 2 and 3.
Pages 2 and 3.
Each flip.
These. I promised you some photos and I will take those. But this one opens up and you've got that one where I've paper pieced and your daffodils, and then that one opens up like that. And I've done it the same on both sides. They're identical. Okay, but I will take some photos. I promised you I would and I haven't, and I apologise profusely. Okay. Terry, you asked about the organza wings. Just leave the wings on your fairies. Other than that, you could use maybe, I don't know, could you cut out with some ribbon work? Could you cut out, if you've got some really wide organza ribbon, could you maybe cut round that? The only thing that I would wonder is whether or not it's going to fray, but you could cut round that and then draw with a Sharpie, maybe a thin Sharpie, you know, the patterns on the wings. Or like I said, these fairies do come with wings and they're equally as beautiful with their own. It was just a bit of texture for me, really, and like I said, Mel had some and I just really loved them. Cool. Right, so maybe I'll see some of you guys tomorrow, because we've got our last in the series with our collaboration with For the Love of Pretty Paper, and we're going to be making that little brag book, which was one of the very first things that we made here, actually. So nothing new, but might be fun to join in. Yeah, vellum is a really good idea, Gwen. That might definitely work. Or even something like parchment, maybe, where feathers. Yeah, that's a good one, Karen. Parchment where you're you know, like embossing on there. It was simply about texture and using something different, but it doesn't mean that you have to, because this is your book at the end of the day. Right, okay guys, so I'll maybe see some of you tomorrow. Otherwise we will see you back here next Wednesday when we will start putting all the pretties into our book. And in the meantime, if you've got any questions, let me know, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks a lot for joining us. Bye.